Hi, Dear Rockstar. I am so lucky, right? I get to sit here and talk to all these cool starters, makers, hackers, and life designers. So, Omar, I am always like freaking out about saying your last name.
Khateeb.
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 I am so excited to talk to you, not only because PS Mister is making moves and I see it blowing up online, but you and I met at Pachakaka. And I remember when I first met you, and I think we were in the
I think the rehearsal room. Yes.
And you took copious notes on my speech, and then handed them to me after. And I was like, give, ask. But, I had to process this thought of this young man handing me ways I could improve, and I just received it. But I just watched you, and you're like that with everyone. Like, you are like this burning passion ball of life. And so I was like, okay, we got to talk to you. So thanks for coming.
Oh, it was a huge honor when you gave me the call. I was thrilled. So I jumped up and called a couple of my friends and my family. I'm like, guess what I'm going to do this weekend? So I appreciate the invite. Happy to be here.
So for other people, give us a little bio on Omar.
Sure. So I am from El Paso, Texas, which is right on the border of U.S. and Mexico. Was a bio and chem degree, went to medical school in Texas, and then I left halfway through because I just didn't feel like it was what I should be doing. I went into the surgical robotics industry, jumped into corporate. I was a U.S. marketing manager for a remarkable organization called Mazor Robotics, and then I decided that I wanted to work with my business partner and close friend Adam and start something, start something new and just make art in a way.
Awesome.
And here I am today.
That's interesting. Did you want, when you were little, did it start that you wanted to be in the medical?
Yeah, since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a doctor. My father was a doctor. He never forced me into it, but he was, it's encouraging.
Okay.
When you're pre-med, everybody's encouraging about that, right? But halfway through medical school, I realized that, it's what I wanted to do was be a surgeon, and it was to be a leader.
Okay, so what happened? What did you feel? How did you know it wasn't right?
When you wake up every day and you are forcing yourself to go do something, and you keep thinking about what you could be doing, and you feel like you are not doing, and I think you said it best in your Shock Talk, doing what makes your heart sing. My heart was not singing, like, at all.
So did you know what you wanted to do?
No, but I knew it wasn't that.
Okay.
You don't have to know sometimes.
That's such a good distinction, though, because how many people do we meet, and I've been there, where I know that I know, but the courage to...
Right, yeah, and the courage essentially to provoke action within yourself. And I think that, especially today with the way I was raised, the way you were raised, we're always looking for this reassurance that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah, because there's this one right thing to do, which is not true, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes, that's the beauty of life and the universe and, and nature, is that sometimes you don't know. You just have to do what feels right. We see animals doing it all the time. We're like, oh, that's instinct. But for human beings, oh, that's a fluke. It's intuition.
What do you think we have to do so that we are more in touch with our instinct?
Listen to ourselves. And it's a very simple thing to say, but really listen and say, does this feel right? Does this feel like the right thing? And not listen to what he has to say or what she thinks I should do, but really look yourself in the mirror and say, is this it? Do I want to do this?
So robotics. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
After I left medical school, I wanted to use my medical background, but I wanted to go into business and sales. Hundreds of companies didn't care that I was in med school or anything, but this one company, Mazor Robotics, saw me and gave me an opportunity. And also because 2 of their employees were ex-medical students. Yeah. But they put all that aside and saw something in me, and they said, we want to take a risk on that. So they brought me on board. They went public a few months later, and I was with them for about 3 years.
Wow.
And it's a remarkable organization.
So did you find something you loved in there, or what was your experience like?
So my experience in there was the idea that there's a line of people who want to line up and take credit for things, right? Whether it's money or fame or popularity, but there's a very short line of people who want to take on responsibility.
So let's say that again. There's a long line of people that want to,
stand in line to take credit for things. And there's a very small line for people who want to take on the responsibility and do the work. Exactly. And I always get questions from people in college like, oh, Omar, how did you, because I moved to Orlando to be the U.S. marketing manager for this
That's a big
company.
job.
It was. You're
a fairly young guy.
Honestly, and I have no marketing degree, but when you have a consistency with the work and you constantly take on responsibility and you deflect credit and you sign your name off on things and assume the responsibility of when things go wrong, really good things happen. Then there's a line of people who want to work with you.
I love that. We were talking earlier about responsibility and accountability, and too many times in the world of work, somebody has the responsibility like for one part, but maybe somebody else has the accountability for it to be financially successful.
Exactly.
And so that sometimes in the world of work, the fruits of the labor aren't all tied, and even the pain of if the work isn't done aren't all tied to the same person, right?
Exactly.
So you took a lot of responsibility.
You
got a lot.
Yes, and so one thing I like about Dear Rockstar is about taking a leap, right? Leap of faith. So there's an opportunity to become a product manager. I have no background nor any qualifications, but I said, I'm gonna apply, and I did not get the job. But in doing so, back then he was our VP. The current CEO is Christopher Prentice for the U.S. side, for the Inc. side, and he saw something in me. He said, we can't give you the product manager position, but we want you to be the U.S. marketing manager.
Wow.
And so, of course, I took that and moved everything down here to Orlando. It was like the best decision I made. I mean, it was a gem of a city. So. Yeah,
so you've gotten so involved. So tell us a little bit about the journey to what was the moment P.S. Mister was born? Like, what led up to that?
So...
And you co-founded that with your...
With my business partner, Adam Benevi.
Okay.
Adam Benevi. So Adam and I met. I knew no one in town, and he is...
That's weird, because now you know everyone, right? Like,
I know. Yeah, I'm
this guy knows everyone, believe me.
Well, so with him, I'm very drawn to people who are generous and who provoke change and action in others, and he's one of those people. And when we get together, we make a ruckus and kind of raise a lot of hell.
Yeah.
So, he had always been teaching me a lot, inspiring me to say, try something. And I had this idea in San Francisco when I was at a meeting, and I sent him a video saying, Adam, I think I got something. I sent to him, and he said, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And that was, I think, 6 or 7 months ago in July.
Okay. And that was the idea for P.S. Mister.
That was just the idea, yeah.
If you're describing P.S. Mister for everybody else, how do you describe it?
So P.S. Mister is an inventions company that happens to be focused on fashion, currently men's fashion.
Okay, so give us an example. Do you have a first product?
I do have a first product. So this is the first product. It's called the Pocket Square Snap. So I'll describe to you the issue. The issue is when a man puts on a suit, and I go to trade shows and business meetings, and I like dressing up. A pocket square is sort of the finishing touch.
Right.
2 issues though. You don't know how to fold it sometimes, and when you do, I just took the product off. It falls down. And so the idea is that a lot of men, they take tissue paper, business cards, something to prop it up. But we have here like a metallic card that's pretty much the canvas.
Yeah.
You take this card.
Oh, and you use it as like a folding guide?
You use it as a folding guide. So that serves as a canvas, and you can make your art with it. And, for me, I like a very simple, like straight fold like that.
Right.
And you can do more like crazier design. Right. Then you take one of these lodestones, otherwise known as a magnet, you throw it on the front part, and it stays in place. It doesn't move. So you can do a very intricate design. Throw it in, and that guides it into the pocket, but now we're not done. It's still going to fall down. So that's why you take the other magnet, you throw it right on the inside of the pocket, it snaps in place.
With the other one.
Exactly, and now it's stuck in place. And for most people, they say this is a simple thing. This is like, how big the deal?
It solves a problem.
It solves
a major problem.
Exactly, it's not a vitamin, it's a painkiller. And for those who don't wear pocket squares, this is what I would say is that in meetings, and this is what I noticed, and we surveyed, we asked, like 10, 20 people, like, is this an issue? People doing this move, and they're fidgeting. And this is not a big deal to most people, but what's the difference between saying, hi, my name's Omar Khateeb of PS Mister versus, hi, my name's Omar. And that's exactly what you're doing every time you're doing this. It's a fidget.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So where are you guys in your process? Is this out in the world now? Is it available? Where do we find it?
So yes, it is available right now. It is on Kickstarter.
Okay.
We had a wonderful community of backers and people who really believed in what the company ideal was in our product. So we wanted to do it on Kickstarter, offer it to the public at a much lower price than wholesale.
Right.
So right now that campaign's going on, but only 30 days.
Okay, so you're going direct to the consumer on Kickstarter.
Yes.
PS Mister.
PS Mister.
And then we'll be able to find it on your website?
Website, yes. And on Kickstarter, you would search the Pocket Square Snap.
All right. Very cool. So I can't remember who it was, but somebody told me that every man should have a handkerchief or a pocket square because he's the man that's going to be able to pull it out when that person in front of him is crying or needs what. Like what movie or what is that from? I'm like trying to like piece that back.
I would not recommend this one. I'd say carry the second one. But no, like it's important.
This one is for looks.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a suit without a pocket square, it's like a cup of tea without sugar.
Absolutely. So what's next? Have you thought about what's next? And are you gonna go to suit companies or what's your model?
So what's next is, unfortunately, Adam has a background of launching different products and consulting a lot of different companies. So we have different generations of this. This is a very James Bond type of product.
Right. But
for the startup world, this is our minimally viable product.
Awesome. I love it. So what have been some of your lessons? So you came from like a company that was public, mm-hmm. and now you're in a startup. Mm-hmm. Like can you give us some inflection points, some key moments in your journey, what it's been like? Yeah,
actually, there's one I wanted to sort of publicly and formally announce here on your show is, 2 weeks ago, I actually left Missouri. And
you left your job.
I left my job, but not in the way.
Drum roll.
Yeah, but not in the way most people think. I feel that a lot of people, they think that, I'm too small to affect change. Like, I'm a lower level employee, or I'm just a manager, or I'm just a secretary. And I think that the idea is that every day when you sign your name off on things, you can make your own art and you can affect change in some way. Is that your kind of mission? Absolutely. Life is art? Yeah. Life is art is what sets you apart, right? I think whenever Adam and I, we do this thing where every day when we interact with people, whether someone's around or it's with each other or other people, we like to pretend like we're in a movie and that there's an audience watching. And every single moment we have an opportunity to make a decision to make the audience say, oh, are we going to let the audience down? So when you start thinking like that, you really pay attention to what you're doing and how you're going to affect people. When you're stressed out and you have every right to get angry and throw a fit, and you don't. You do what most people wouldn't do. You try and understand versus react. So and that's really what PS Mister is about. We are an inventions company, but we create these tools to give to people, reinvent themselves, and project an idea of who they want to be. Okay, so your decision to leave your company, your startup's only how old? Oh, I would say, if you go by the day that we were officially a company, about 5 months. Okay, so why? Why leave the company? So I made a decision 6 months ago that I was going to affect change. And that meant doing things for the sake of taking on the responsibility, deflecting credit, and doing the work. I wasn't waiting to get picked. I wasn't waiting for somebody to say, you're the director, you're an executive. I was going to treat it like my own. And in doing that is, giving into vulnerability. I illuminated some things that the organization needed, how I was taking on a lot of responsibility that they weren't aware of. And in doing that, I made my position vulnerable. So 2 weeks ago, it was very sad, the executive team, my director had to sit down and say, you were right about all this, but in hiring these other people, we have to dissolve your position. Wow. So in playing abundantly, your position. Yes. And then you get to? Well, So that's the other thing. They wanted me to stay because I'd become part of the organization, and they actually offered me a few other positions where it was about 30-40% more money and much easier work. And they said, in a year or two, when we grow more, we can do, we have directors of marketing and whatnot, but for a public company, you can't have one marketing manager for the whole US. And this is where I tell people that's those moments we have them and we logically talk ourselves out of it and we freak out and say, I better take something now so I can have some money coming in but intuitively I knew, I said, this is the arc of my work. This is my moment where I'm going to shock the audience that's watching me in this make-believe movie, inspire change and provoke action within my organization. And I went back and said, I have to decline. I'm going to move on and work on this own thing. And in explaining so, I said, I'm not going to lie and milk a paycheck from the organization and then leave when it's convenient to me. That's not in the vision of my art or my work.
Yeah. So really holding yourself accountable in each of these intersections, like to live your values. That's what I hear you saying. Exactly.
You put it perfectly.
So what is your overarching why?
Why not? That's the best answer I can give right now.
And the values that you use to filter these decisions, some of the core values?
Sure. So some of those core values are not doing what most people would do. Doing things that would inspire and affect change. And
inspire and affect change.
Yes.
That's
I would
your
say
mission.
Provoke change even.
Inspire and provoke change. That's your mission.
Yes.
You want with the company, but you want with your life, it sounds like.
What's that?
It's the mission of your life.
Yes.
And the company is a self-expression of your life mission.
Exactly. And once you tie your ideals to things like that, to core values, which you have to sit down and define, like what's important to me, then you become, and that's who I was 7-8 months ago, less of a disgruntled employee because I was focusing on issues that were not Mazora's problems. They were issues that were my problems. And I was trying to give responsibility to Mazora, like, we should have this, we should do that. And my father told me, he said, you're making the decision and choosing to stay there. So if you're going to stay, then you have to make the best of it and you have to give yourself to making the organization better. Otherwise, just leave. And I made a decision and it sort of went on from there. And the best part about all this is that when you make decisions like that most people won't make, people get behind it. My organization, 100% behind it. My CEO weekly now, he meets with me, mentors, coaches me, versus doing what most people do, what the corporate world it's okay to do, which is you say you take a job and then you milk the paycheck and then when I'm ready, then I leave. Forget what everybody else is doing. I'm going to leave when I'm comfortable. And when you do the things of saying, I'm going to go through the unsafe, uncomfortable, risky path and take this leap.
Yeah, so let's talk about that right there, right? Because most of us would do our dream, would do what we love, but we're scared about our mortgage. We're scared about eating, right? So what's helping you? What are you learning about that?
Well, fortunately, I have a mortgage too, so I can talk to it. So, going to med school, there's a part of the brain that's the amygdala. It's this primitive brain. And that's the part that makes us stressed out and angry and these very primitive reactions. So in that moment when I heard about what happened, I wanted to freak out and say, well, I better take this job because if I don't, I'm not going to have money. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to lose all my money. I won't be able to get a job. I won't get a letter of rec. I'll lose my house, I'll lose my mortgage, and then I'm going to be homeless and I'll die.
Isn't it amazing how little time it takes to go all the way there?
Yeah, and people do that in a matter of seconds.
It's this reactive versus, externally driven versus internally driven. How do you keep that composure when you're there, when you have that? Because everybody has fear. Fearlessness is not true. No one has fearlessness.
No.
Fear is human.
Yeah.
So then what?
In terms of fear? In terms of me?
You go through all that.
When you spend time dedicating yourself to lifelong learning and building and developing yourself daily, I'm not concerned or worried. I might try something. It may not work. It may fail. People might hate it. But that's okay. I can go on. I can go. I hope not, but I can go back and get a job.
Your beliefs about.
It'll all be okay.
So talk to me about that. Lifelong learning. I watch you, and I think I'm a voracious reader, but I watch your posts and I'm thinking, that guy is reading like so much stuff. So what's the book you give away the most? What's the book you've given away most?
That's hard. So weird thing about me, aside from my voracious reading, I give away no books because once I get the book, I write in it, I highlight it, and I read multiple books at a time. So now those things...
You're a physical book reader.
Those things become my friends that go on the shelf that I can have conversations with later. But if I were to give something today, hands down, the first thing I would give is this book called Living in the Light.
Living in the Light. I don't think I've heard about it.
Yes. So, and again, I really don't believe sometimes, I don't believe in coincidences. Things happen for a reason. This goes back to intuition and not brushing things off. Eddie Selliver, the executive director of Provoke, I have a wonderful relationship with him. He's one of my coaches. He presented this book, how it changed his life. And it talks about intuition and listening to it. That morning that I heard that decision, I swear, I read half that book that morning. The morning of the decision of my position. And that moment, that's when I knew I had to listen to myself. And even my CEO, Christopher Pennis, gave me great advice. He said, write out the options on an index card. So stay with Mazor and do this, go off and start your company and do that. And look at them and see what feels right. It's simple. It's so silly that it's that simple, but that's all you have to do. And I looked at it and I didn't have to reason or make any, come up with any logic behind it. I knew what I had to do.
Yeah. It goes back to what you said about medical school. You knew in here. You knew.
It was a gut feeling.
This didn't work. Right?
Exactly.
And so there is this sense that we have this in programming, this intuition, this spiritual part of us that is very much in sync with what is right for us now.
Exactly.
If we'll listen to it. Like, what inspires you?
People doing things, for the sake of making their own art and shocking people.
Why don't more people make their own art? Take life as art?
Because we're always worried about what are they going to think, and what is this going to look bad? What will make people, and I think that's part of art, is that you make something and you go show it to somebody, and either they love it, which is great, then you say, great, like, come with me and I'll make more of this for you, or they say, I hate this disgusts me, and you say, hey, that's okay, it's not for you, and then you walk off somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, and a part of it, the art, right, is like, we're this channel, and this was the art we were going to bring to the world. It's not for everyone.
No, it's not.
Right? Like, so that everyone would make their own art, that inspires you. When you see people taking their self-expression and living that.
And just going an extra mile for the sake of doing it. When we say these things, people think about starting a company and doing these things.
What's a little thing?
If you're, let's say you're a mechanic and you fix somebody's car.
The many days I've wished I was me.
You and me both. You fix someone's car, so that's what people are expecting. You know what people are not expecting? A little handwritten note with a mint inside saying, like, have a great day.
So
that's
it sounds
art.
To me like this is all about, like, we call it extra mile, right? But it's this living this life of you see yourself as a value contributor. Like, you're going to go as high over the fence as possible, not just barely get over it. Like, you want to wow people.
Under promise and over deliver.
Who wrote Raving Fans? Was it Seth Godin? Did he do Raving Fans?
No. That's Ken Blanchard, I think.
Okay.
Ken Blanchard. He did Gung Ho too.
Okay.
Yes.
Raving Fans.
Seth Godin is my, like,
your go-to guy?
My mentor from
He's mentoring the whole world.
Yeah. He really is. And you listen to me, I'm sure there's a lot of similarities between what he believes and what I believe. His book, Linchpin, and so talking about giving art away, I decided I would email him one day. And I told him what I was doing, and he never responds to me, he emailed me back. So the last 6 months, I've been emailing him here and there, not asking for anything.
I love it.
Giving things to him, and he's like, go, Omar. And I told him what happened at my company. He said, that was wonderful, and they were lucky to have worked with you. But anyway, the book that he wrote that
Linchpin?
changed, yes, Linchpin. That
I read
saved
it
my
so
life.
long ago, and I think I actually used it in one of my classes I taught. Okay, Linchpin, remind us a little bit of the essence.
So Linchpin goes back to what I was mentioning, which is lining up to take responsibility and being indispensable. And the only way you be indispensable, and I love this this analogy, is that there are people who read maps and people who make maps. And at Mazor, the beauty about working in an organization like that, they want map makers. They don't have maps for you. You show up.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was. In his book, I emailed him months ago and I said, Seth, I love your work and it saved my life, and one day I'm going to tell you how. And I've been slowly telling him. The best way you can pay an author back is take their work to heart and go do it and make it real.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. So, what are the biggest challenges you think about right now in terms of growing your company, your PS Mister?
So, this is something that Adam taught me, is that companies get away from ideals. And as human beings, like we talk about core values and ideals, when you tie your decision making to that, you're going to be fine in this life. You'll flourish and bloom, and you'll stumble along the way, but that's fine. Same with companies. And what I care about the most, if it's a wild success, if it fails, we don't care. What we want is to not make a dent in the universe. If that happens, wonderful. But make a dent in people. Make a change.
Make a difference.
Exactly. And whatever that ideal is, and for us that's inspiring change, allowing people to reinvent who they are from the inside and projecting that, not waiting to get picked to say, oh, I'm an executive, to say, I picked myself and I'm going to start acting like that.
Wow. So success, when you get to success, what does that look like to you? How do you define success?
Starting something and finishing it.
Wow. Being a finisher.
Do you know how hard it is to say that, being like a former medical student in science? First it's like straight A's or having like this and that, and it's starting something with the intention of finishing it.
Wow, yeah. Like we hear all the time, it's he who stays in the arena, right?
Yes.
If you can just stay in the arena long enough with the right values that you want to add value to someone and show up to live in your best self-expression of yourself, whatever God designed you to be, when you commit to that, if you'll just stay the course, something's going to break.
Exactly.
But we give up right at the edge. It's not easy. It doesn't look like what we thought it was going to be.
And that happens. And I'm 29 years old. I'm turning 30 in a few weeks.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
excited.
a 30 crisis.
I can't wait to turn 30. It's
Awesome. 30s are great. Oh my gosh, you could make
excited.
me age envy right here. I won't go there because I'm just going to be so abundant at my current age and remember how foolish I was at 30.
It's not, it's like they
You
say,
are much wiser than I was at 30.
I don't
Oh
know
no, you're
about
pretty
that.
awake.
Well, it's because I have the luxury of spending time with people like you. That's why, And I think, so I was, while I was, waiting to come out, I saw David Bowie magazine inside, and David Bowie has a very interesting quote where he said, the beautiful thing about getting older is that we become the person we should have been.
I love that quote of his.
So that's why I say I'm an old soul.
Like that really is, like, why are we waiting? When are we going to step up to become the person we always wanted to be? Like, each one of us has an idea who that person is, who our highest, best self is, right? Not in a competitive thing, but just that person that we know is inside of us.
Exactly.
Like, and giving ourselves permission to be that person.
Absolutely.
So what would you tell your younger self?
Oof.
I mean, that would be a pretty young self, but what would you tell them?
Sorry, I'm getting like a little choked up.
That's all right.
Just believe in yourself. Like, you don't need to hear encouragement and reassurance from other people. And, people are not going to like things you say or what you do. And you know what? You're weird and eccentric, but there are people who love that about you. And the people who don't, that's okay. it's not for them.
I love that. You listen to lots of podcasts. I know this, probably.
I try to learn at every moment of the day.
So I think it was on, I don't know, I think it was the chess player that was interviewed with Tim Ferriss, but they're talking about embrace your funk.
Yeah.
And that this whole thing of expressing yourself is embracing your funk and starting to be honest with yourself of really how you like life, what you're best at, just your weirdness.
Absolutely.
Like, and if we can just get permission to do that early on. So embrace your funk, Omar. Live your funk. There's many paths to greatness.
I'm fortunate enough to have a business partner like Adam, and people will see this in the blossoming of our company, that P.S. Mister is very much a reflection of Adam and I, which is embracing literally who you are. And if you want to reinvent and project a new idea, you just do it.
And I think that's business comes from us, right? Like, these are our little artworks. But wherever we start is an artwork. Exactly. Right? So
and it can be an ugly baby at the beginning. You know?
Oh my gosh, it probably should be kind of an ugly baby at the beginning. So do you have certain spiritual practices or daily practices?
Ooh, yeah. This is just in the last few months. So again, embracing how eccentric and weird you are and just saying, yeah, that's actually awesome. That's okay. As long as it's not like imposing on other people. But I wake up and I'm kind of crawl out of bed and I like roll over the floor and I sit in this chair. I meditate for 10 minutes. Then I pick up one of a few books that I have on the ground. Some of them are about art, some of them about strategy and, military strategy and history. And I try and read one page, make a note of it. I jump in the shower. I turn on a podcast or lecture. While I'm in the shower, I have these waterproof notes. So I think of something, I have something to write there.
You have waterproof notes?
I have waterproof notes.
What product is that?
I hope if someone breaks into my house, they're going to freak out because I have, dry erase like notes and writing on the mirrors. There's notes in the shower. There's
Everybody out there's going,
they're gonna think I'm
this
crazy.
Is like 17 journals where you have them on the walls. Okay, I really want to know about the shower notes. So send me an email later.
I will. Yes, I will.
We gotta find that company.
I'm gonna buy it free. I'm gonna buy it as like.
Okay, so you're taking notes. You're learning. How long have you been meditating?
Just 3-4 months.
So lots of personal transformation.
Oh yeah.
Around the starting. Because I met you a year plus ago, and I felt like you're pretty, you were on it, right? But it sounds like there's been a vortex of, real growth in the last half year.
I would say I'm a radically different man. So the biggest changes, I would say, being more mindful in the sense I know how to listen to myself intuitively. I don't have to use logic to reassure myself, but also learning how to mindfully really listen to other people.
What does mindfully mean?
Mindfully means to, I think, be like a stone in a river, and the water's flowing around it, and you're not letting yourself take off with the current. So when I'm listening to somebody, I'm not thinking about the next thing that I'm going to say or getting ready to say something. I'm listening to understand, not to react. And I realize that a lot of times that's what I was doing. And it's a hard thing to do. So I love to talk, but I love people even more, so it was a little bit easier for me to transition.
Wow. So any other disciplines or practices that are helping you in your life of starting and living this art?
Yeah, but like I said, they're crazy. So
crazy is good. We some of us want to feel a little more normal. So go, guys.
Okay. So every day I force myself with a reminder to put down 5 ideas down every day.
And where do you put them?
I put them in my phone, so that way I can go back every month and I look through all the ideas. And even it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. It could be stupid ideas.
Just ideation every day.
Yeah, little ideas. And then I really feel one of the quotes I love is that the habits of the mind are like chains. That they're too weak to be felt until one day you wake up and they're too strong to be broken.
Oh, just say that again. Okay, I just gotta Oprah would say, tweetable moment. I just want to sit in that. That's again.
So that the habits of the mind are just like chains. They're too weak to be felt until one day you wake up and they're too strong to be broken.
Yeah.
And so every day, it's like I put myself in situations to test myself, to take that primitive brain of mine and sit it right next to me and say, okay, how are we going to react to this? Sometimes...
Is this like key lime pie, or what kind of experiments are we doing? Do you put the key lime pie there and make sure he won't eat it? Or what are we doing here?
Okay, we talk.
I don't even like key lime pie. Don't send me anything.
I will not send people. So you mentioned pain earlier. So when I'm in the shower, I did this one time for 30 days straight. I wake up in the morning and I willed myself and talked to my mind subconsciously, say, I'm going to enjoy the shower. And I took an ice cold shower for 30 days straight.
Yeah, there's a whole, these guys are doing this. What's it called? The Heman, or there's a whole method on this whole.
If you need to find out for me. I want to know.
Yeah. Wim Hof method. Yes, of course. This team would know that. Yeah.
I want to look that up.
Be careful about it, but we'll send about it. So, okay, so you did that. You went in there and you just told yourself it was going to be comfortable. I heard very good for you.
Yeah,
it's a biohacker, right?
In a way, yeah. And for hormones, for a lot of things, it's good for you, but then just to take your mind and say, I'm making myself do this, even though, and it's almost, I messed around with my mind. I hacked my own mind for the last 6 months to put myself in situations where I was able to control. For example, to put myself in uncomfortable situations, unsafe situations. So when that moment...
So you could still be mindful?
Yes.
Like you can handle the chaos?
Exactly.
And be okay with chaos? And still be mindful? And not reactive?
Yes. Practice difficult things while it's still easy. So the moment that happened, that shiny moment with Missouri, where they gave me options. They could have just said, you're out of here, but they said, positions dissolved, but we want you to say, here's this opportunity. You're going to make more money. It's an easier job.
I love that because I don't know who said it, but there's a space between everything that happens to us if we can just take a breath.
Yes.
And see the space and detach from it. That's where there's all the opportunity. But it's usually the reaction comes in and then there's no space. It's in the space I can make that really mindful next move. And the next move might be, I don't know.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I need to sleep on this. Or
exactly.
I'm curious, right? But there's a space around everything so that there isn't this automatic living that is so robotic and takes the joy out of really having some kind of conscious choice.
Exactly. And that, in that moment when they told me this, we talked a little bit, but I told them, I said, let me go think about this for the next 24 hours. So when I come back, not only do I have a decision that I can make, but I can do it in a profound way, make my own art, and in some ways, live a legacy, whatever decision that is, versus what most people want to do, which is react to it.
So what is your advice to other starters that are maybe working their job right now and are a little discouraged?
To stay. And I say stay because those problems, my generation has this issue where if there's nothing, if they're not happy where they are, then they're going to leave and go somewhere else until they find what they want. And it's like there's this book, I can't remember the name of it, says, wherever you go, there you are. Wherever
you go, there you are, right? Yeah. We always take ourselves.
Exactly. Fix who you are there and use that as a canvas and platform to do that. And when you have that moment where you say, this is that moment, then you know it's time to leave. And I wasn't working in terrible conditions. I worked with wonderful people at Missouri. I had a great job. I enjoyed it. It was very stressful and tough, but because when you take on the responsibility, it's not a glamorous life. I'm not showing up to work like this.
No.
It's about grinding it out, getting things done.
Yeah. For our listeners and viewers, what can we do to help PS Mister? What do you need next?
Very first thing I would ask is go to our Kickstarter page. So Pocket Square Snap.
Okay.
That's the product. Check out our story, watch the video. If you like it, please buy it. Give it to somebody. Give it to yourself. And at the very least, share it.
All right. And then what if we come over there and it's past the Kickstarter? What else could we do?
Go to our website, psmister.com, and sign up. And we send out a newsletter. Again, we're a fashion inventions company, but we don't want followers. We want leaders. That's the whole reason why we exist, is that we give you tools so you reinvent this idea.
How do we know if we're your right tribe?
After you watch our video, if it resonates with you, you'll know.
All right. So watch our video.
Watch our video.
Is that on the front of your website?
Yes. And then go, click. We have a couple of pages. One's called philanthropy. The other one's called knowledge. Click on those and just read and see if it resonates with you, if that's, who you want to be or become, join our tribe.
Awesome. So as we get ready to wrap up, anything else you want to say to people out there that are working on starting and growing their life's art, their venture, their business?
It's a very emotional thing for me, but this sparked a lot of change in me, and I want to always share what's happened to me to others to provoke change. So my father, had an operation on his heart, and it was very scary. And I called him, and we talked about it. And he's doing wonderfully right now. He's meditating with me and everything. But we talked about not having regret. And there's this poem by Chief Tecumseh, and it talks about living your life with honor and beautifying all things, treating people pleasantly and well, waking up and being thankful. And if you don't have anything to be thankful for, that's your own fault. But where to get serious, and my father and I, we talked about this, was at the end of the poem it says, when it comes your time to die, you prepare a death song. And so when you cross the great divide, you don't pray and weep like other people for more time to relive your life in a different way, that you've lived your life, you have no regret, and you die like a hero going home. So I would say to anybody, no matter what age they are, even if they're 19 years old, there is a sense of urgency, and every day you spend not doing what you should be doing and not making art and not listening to yourself, you are depriving the world of something special. And you have no right to say whether it will be special or not. The only right you have is to do it. That would be my thing.
Wow. Just want to put sacred silence around that. Wow. So where do we find you online?
So me personally, you can connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Omar M. Khateeb. I'm actually an avid Snapchatter. So O Khateeb, O-K-H-A-T-E-E-B. Every week, actually, I teach from books. I take a book and I teach it to people.
Where do you do that?
In my home, in my living room.
I know, but where do you broadcast
it?
it?
On Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Every Monday night.
What is it, in 15-second intervals, or do you do the whole thing?
Yeah, so I do 10. So it's 10 snaps, which I think are 10 seconds long. So one book, 10 snaps, and I teach things to it.
Idea.
It's a lot of fun.
Okay, I want to share that over on Dear Rockstar.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then your company is PS Mister.
PS Mister, and I would say, aside from following us on Instagram, we have a YouTube channel, and like I said before, Adam and I, we raise a lot of hell, and we cause a ruckus where we...
So get over there and see what we got.
Absolutely, and you'll see a lot of the ideals that him and I, we believe in terms of giving back to the community, provoking change, and, developing values.
So much great stuff. We could stay here and keep going, but we got to wrap this up. And just thank you for spending time. I'm going to go out and think about who I can buy a Pocket Square Snap, yep. Pocket Square Snap for. And I'm going to watch PS Mister make impact and help people get into their art, because your mission and my mission is similar, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Thank you very much for being here. You are definitely a Dear Rockstar.
Thank you. So are you. So happy to be here.